time, just in time for another 5 minutes at the Frat House. With Frat House Mike and Sidekick. And it has been so brutally hot here, day after day after day, that we just plan on being, well, super cool. We're going to be super cool tonight, okay? So I found out something last night there, Sidekick. Found out that you're quite the Darryl Hall and John Oates fan, huh?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. You were there checking out that Darryl Hall performance?
Yes.
At the Welcome America concert down there at the Philadelphia Art Museum.
Yep.
Yeah. So as an analyst, how would you analyze his performance?
Well, I mean, I've seen better performances, but I still enjoyed watching.
Well, as an analyst, I gotta say it was just about the worst performance I have ever seen. That's just my personal opinion, and that's the kind of stuff you get only right here at the Frat House. We break down all performances. It doesn't matter. We break them all down.
But they didn't play this song.
I'm glad. He played too many. Let's get it straight.
Oh, I love all their stuff.
Well, yeah, back in the day. All right, look.
Oh, they did play Man Eater. They did play Man Eater.
No, not wonderful.
And they also played Rich Girl.
I think they needed John Oates. That's what I think they needed.
They needed a stash.
All right. Enough with all that. Hey, what do you say we go take a look at the performances of our drivers last Saturday down at the Kentucky Speedway? And as I watched it through the whole thing, Sidekick, it really looked to me, I mean, I really thought for the longest time there that Kyle Busch had control of the race. I mean, for the longest time. But in the end, Brad Keselowski became the first driver on the NASCAR circuit with 3 wins. Now, you know, did you see that one coming? I mean, really, when the season opened, that he would have 3. I mean, look, Keselowski's not a bad driver, but to be the first one with 3.
That's a who'da thunk.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You know, we were talking about this before, and you know, obviously the season doesn't end today.
Right.
But going into the chase, that's huge.
It is. Yeah.
That's 15 points, and he's gonna start out. He's gonna be the #1 driver in the chase.
Very possible. We'll see how the next 9 races go on. Others who came in the top 5 down there on Saturday night at Kentucky. Kasey Kahne came in 2nd.
Yep.
He had a good race. Denny Hamlin came in 3rd.
Yep.
Dale Jr., another top 5, came in 4th. Jeff Gordon came in 5th. And so this week we stay on Saturday night racing, which again I love it. I love the Saturday night stuff. We're heading back. We're heading back to Daytona International Speedway, beginning at 6:30 on TNT. And I think you got a request for TNT this week, don't you?
I sure do.
You got a request for them, I think.
Good Lord. cut out the commercials. I mean, I posted on it, you know, somebody actually sat down and did it, you know, and analyzed how many commercials were in it.
37% of the broadcast?
Nearly a third of the broadcast, since they've gone to TNT, is commercials.
Yep.
They play that godforsaken
Kentucky Fried
Chicken wrestling commercial 7 times. They played it twice in 1 commercial break. I mean, come on. And with this being, you know, the Coke Zero 400, you know, sponsored by Coca-Cola, you know we're going to get in today with Coca-Cola commercials, and I hate those.
Is this our last race on TNT? I think it might be the last one.
I hope so.
We jump over to another network, ABC, I think, or somebody's going to pick it up then. I forget.
Yeah. But you remember the last year they had those Coke, you know, it's the identity Coke versus Coke Zero, and you know, copyright infringement and all that. It's stupid ads. Oh. Don't get me going. Crank them up.
TNT, listen up. Sidekick's going to be counting. He's going to have the stopwatch on you.
No kidding. You know I'm going to be looking. On Sunday, I'm going to start looking for the advertising analysis of this race.
Let's go over and take a look at the Sprint Cup leaderboard. Yeah, we can have it now. That's good. We'll hear it again, too, in a moment. Listen.
That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear those stupid commercials. I want to hear some of that going on. Crying out loud. Aaron's about Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, God. All right, the leaderboard. Matt Kenseth continues to hold on to the number 1 spot with 633 points. Dale Jr. is he retook the number 2 spot from the Biff with 622. Jimmy Johnson moves up into the 3rd. With 610. Biffle drops back down into number 4 with 608, and Denny Hamlin now moves back up into the top
3 spots because of that.
Yeah, because of that.
Second place or top 5 finish. Sorry.
With 565. So as I mentioned, we just talked about, we're going back to Daytona. We got the 2.5 mile there. Oh, and you got some fantasy, yes?
Yep.
That's lap 2.
I want to hear
that. Was lap 2.
We need to hear that 5 more times just to make up for that KFC commercial.
Oh no!
I just real quick wanted to talk about the wild cards though. While we were talking about the standings, Ryan Newman now. Kyle Busch is still one of the wild cards, but by virtue of Kasey Kahne finishing 2nd, he moves up now and has knocked Ryan Newman out of the chase. So your 2 wild cards are Kyle Busch and Kasey Kahne.
All right.
And now we'll talk about fantasy.
Fantasy. What do we got?
Can we play the drop one more time?
Oh, here we go.
1/3 of our show.
1/3 of our show. That was lap 3. That was lap 3.
So we're going back to Daytona this week for restrictor plate racing, and the big one lottery, as I like to call it. There's not much strategy this week in fantasy because the big one's going to knock out, can knock out anybody. That even the best captains can't strategize for that. So here's where I'm going to put my chips this weekend for drivers. First off is Matt Kenseth. He's the Daytona 500 winner, and he was also the runner-up in last year's Coke 0400 when he pushed his then teammate David Reagan to the win. Followed up by Junior. This week we're going to put Junior in there. This is the week to drop coin on Junebug. In 2010, he swept top 5s at Daytona. So, he's typically a good restrictor plate racer. And Kevin Harvick. You can pretty much count on this guy to be in the top 10 each restrictor plate race. Plus, some of us Dale fans may remember that he inherited Senior's old cars. So maybe Lady Luck will be riding with him. And as far as filling out the rest of your roster, just put all the names in a hat and pluck out 2 names, because when a big one comes, you may wind up losing half your roster.
You mentioned Harvick there, and I go back to the same comment I made last week about Carl Edwards. This is a guy, in my opinion, that if he's going to get something done, he's got to do it soon.
He's got to giddy up.
Yeah.
So, but I
got to be honest. I mean, it makes me a little bit this way about picking them.
This year, the Fords have been stronger on the restrictor plates than than typically the Chevys and that. But for whatever reason, Carl Edwards isn't, pardon the pun, firing on all cylinders, I think, this season. So,
no.
And it's getting crunch time for him. He's going to have to start getting desperate if he wants to make
the race. Started out, he looked pretty good starting out last week, and then I don't know, he just fizzled right off. So. All right, that's our NASCAR talk for this week. That leads us right over into Major League Baseball, and we got some improbables. Of course we do. We've always had improbables. So what do you think, Sidekick? How many major leaguers do you think have ever hit for the cycle in the history of Major League Baseball? What do you think? God, don't just pull them.
Let's go 5.
Five. How about less than 270 people in the history, players in the history of Major League Baseball have hit for the cycle? How many do you think have done it twice? Now, I gave you a hint there, 270. How many do you think have done it twice?
135.
20. And Arizona Diamondbacks, Aaron Hill last week was one of those 20. He hit for the cycle last Friday night, and the D-backs win over the Milwaukee Brewers, 9-3. Now, that's an amazing accomplishment, but what's even more amazing is that it was the second time he did it. The last time was just 12 days before, on June 18th. So, question though, what do you think is the bigger accomplishment? A no-hitter or hitting for the cycle? Not that I have numbers on this one, I'm just asking.
I'm going to say the cycle.
You think?
Because instant replay can play into a no-hitter.
All right.
Because we haven't.
I still think the no-hitter probably has a little more glamour to it. I don't know.
Well, that I agree with you there, but we're going to kick that instant replay dead horse.
Yep.
Once or twice more.
Yes, we will. 29-year-old pitcher David Pauley, he might want to consider another line of work. This guy has pitched a total of 36 innings so far this season for 4 different teams. All right, you ready? Now, I'm going to run this down, all right? So follow me along on this one. On July 30 last year, he was traded to the Tigers from the Mariners. All right? In early March of this year, he was released by the Tigers. 2 weeks later, he was signed to a minor league contract by the Angels. Just before Memorial Day, he was designated for assignment by the Angels. The very next day, he was assigned to AAA Angels. By June 18th, he was designated for assignment by the Angels. On June 20th, he was picked up by the Toronto Blue Jays. On July 2nd, he was designated for assignment by the Blue Jays.
When they picked up Jamie Moore.
My final note here is this guy needs to get together with Jamie Moore to find out how this thing works. I mean, really. I mean, seriously.
Well, hey,
I don't know if you feel. I don't know if I feel bad for the guy or just say, you know something. Come on, just
we can get him and Manny and Jamie together. We're starting to build a team.
I would think so.
We got an expansion team.
Yeah, put him on the field of dreams.
The new Eagleville Eagles. I don't know.
Yeah, the Frat House team.
There we go.
You know, there's always a few
controversies.
There's always a few controversies when it comes to Bud League. When it comes to the All-Star selection we see every year, always a couple of controversies, right? So, injury-prone San Francisco Giants third baseman Pablo Sandoval got selected the other day to this year's All-Star game next week in Kansas City. And to do so, he had to beat out New York Mets David Wright, who, come on, the guy's having just one heck of a season. Mets general manager Sandy Anderson has his theory for what he thinks went wrong in that whole selection process. When he tweeted that All-Star game election of Kung Fu Panda shows the value of a cute name. So he thinks he got selected simply because he's a panda.
I haven't got a brain.
Well, I don't know. Pandas are a little cuter than David Wright. I will say that.
Yeah. A little.
19-year veteran Atlanta Braves third baseman is playing out his final year this year. And the other day was selected just before the game on July 3rd. He was selected to the All-Star game to replace injured Matt Kemp. Jones then went out into that game and promptly went 5 for 5. 4 RBIs, 2 doubles, and he actually had his first stolen base of the season. It was the best game Jones has put on the field since August 11th, 2002, 10 years ago. So I guess he's quieting anybody like myself who thinks he shouldn't actually go to the All-Star game.
So he's been sandbagging it for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Finally, tens of thousands of fans will be attending next Tuesday's All-Star game in Kansas City, and they will be greeted by a billboard warning fans about hot dogs. The billboard, which depicts grilled hot dogs in a cigarette box looking like Lucky Strikes, is intended to bring awareness to the fact that the preservatives and the nitrates found in America's favorite sausage and one of baseball's traditions can cause colon cancer. I don't know what...
Who the hell are you?
I don't know what you think, but I think that's un-American. I think it's a violation. Killjoys all. Right there.
Who gives a diddly poop?
Diddly poop. Let's go over and take a look at the Major League standings. Major League Baseball's league standings, all right? And over there in the American League, no change in the AL this week. The Yankees continue to be 5 games in front of the Orioles. The Chicago White Sox are still 2 games in front of the Cleveland Indians. And the Texas Rangers have the best record right now in Major League Baseball and continue to be 5 games in front of the Angels. In the National League, The Washington Nationals are now 4.5 games in front of the surging Mets. The Mets really have had a terrific week this week. But here's a change. The Pittsburgh Pirates have taken over control of that weak Central, where every week we seem to find somebody else taking over the front runner spot. They are 1 game in front of the Reds. And the Dodgers continued their cool-off this week. They're now only a half game in front of the San Francisco Giants.
Yep.
All right. And that's our wrap for baseball this week. Now, before we close it out for this evening, we do need to get a little housekeeping in. So first, you can really start to tell that it's getting close, huh? Because the football chatter is really beginning to pick up on the Frat House Facebook page. And that leads us to our Frat House Facebook post of the week. And that comes from our own Brandon here, who posted the other day about how Eagles quarterback Mike Vick spent over $300,000 on his wedding last week. Brandon's point was that he just needs to be a little bit mindful of the public perception, because everything's being analyzed. This guy does.
Yep.
And on the fact that he was being a little bit lavish, he was kind of warning, about the future and what have you, Hey, why spend so much money? Well, listen, I was sitting there, with the stock clock on, just waiting. As expected, our resident Eagles Can Do No Wrong fan, Nick S., came to Vic's aid and basically told everybody to just leave him alone. Fun stuff over there on the Frat House page.
Let's go have a ham sandwich.
Good conversations and discussions can always erupt like that. So you know what you got to do? You got to get over there and you got to jump in.
Oh, yeah,
you got to post early, and you got to post often.
That was a lively conversation.
It was fun. Many of you perhaps have seen, if you're on the Facebook page. If you're not, I'm going to tell you about it right now. But many of you have already seen that, yes, I'm very, very pleased to announce that I will be writing regularly now for the website PhillySportsLive.com. Thank you very much. Yes. And I'll be covering all of the Philly teams and posting as time permits. But I get to cover all of them. Doesn't matter which team. When something comes up, if I jump in there, I've got the story. So my first article appeared on Tuesday when I broke down the NL's final vote candidates to the AL, to the All-Star game rather. And then Wednesday I had the story up about Jaromir Jagr signing with the Dallas Stars. So you can expect more to come from me on that. So make sure, please, follow me out there on PhillySportsLive.com.
You gonna cover the passion?
I have to run that by the bosses. I don't know. You got some time? Maybe we can get you in here. Also, we got to give our shout-out, our weekly shout-out this week to FanJunkies.net. Hey, we picked up a few members this week.
Yeah.
It was very cool,
Yep.
yeah. We picked up a few people, and that was great. We want to see more of you, all right? Social network site, looks like Facebook, the old Facebook, acts like the old Facebook. Hey, but it's just for sports geeks like us, all right? Don't bring any of your dramas. We just want to see good stories. Good stories like what Brandon brought up. That's what we want to see. We want to see that kind of stuff. And people like Nick. We need Nick over there. We got to get Nick over on there.
I know. Why isn't it?
Yeah, really.
Nick, honestly, why aren't you on this website yet? Really? Come on, man.
And last but not least, I want to give you a chance, Sidekick, to tell us a little bit about an upcoming UFC event.
Yes, Saturday. We've got UFC 148, 10 p.m. on pay-per-view in Vegas. We've got a middleweight fight between Anderson Spider Silva, who's 29-4, versus Chael Sonnen, who's 28-11-1. Now, this is the second fight. Previously, they fought, and Sonnen took him to the limit, Silva, but unfortunately got a little sloppy and was submitted. So, this ought to be a good rematch fight. And then we also have a light heavyweight fight between Forrest Griffin and the People's Champ Tito Ortiz. Forrest Griffin is 18-7. Tito Ortiz is 17-10-1. They've met 2 previous times, each getting a win over the other. So this will be the rubber match between the two. So this, Tito is kind of on his way down. Forrest is kind of too, but they've been in the league for a while. But this looks like it's, could be another good fight. So that's what's going on Saturday night for all of our MMA fans.
All right, you got it. All right, well, that's our show for this week. Hey, you know what you got to do? Yeah, Well, first of all, here's what I want you to do. I want you to keep it cool. Then I want you to keep us real. I want you to keep us live. And I want you to keep us going. All right? See you next week.
4th of July fireworks show, boom, exploding all at once. Check it out. Whoa, no way. The beginning, the middle, and the end. This was San Diego, the Big Bay Boom, and it kind of went bust. Well, here's the deal. All the fireworks, it was supposed to be, you know, this whole 17-minute show. Whoops. They all went off at the same time 5 minutes before the show was supposed to start. Can you imagine sitting there with your kids and like all of a sudden, what's going on? And then all of a sudden it's over. 20 minutes later, thousands of people told, sorry, show's over, get home. Event producers are investigating the glitch. Apparently, you know, so 17 minutes worth of fireworks, all going off under 60 seconds.
Holy cow.
I think it's kind of cool.
Here's the great part.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because nobody got hurt.
Nobody got hurt.
God.
Thank goodness.